Okay. Okay, I think we're on. Alright, I'm gonna get us moved over. Here we go. Okay. And I'm gonna fix my thing because I bumped it up so I could take a picture. Ooh. I don't know which way I like it better now. Okay. And we're just gonna do our daily double check. Make sure we're sitting the right way. There we go. You know, I always gotta double check because we know what happened. Well, what usually happens. Okay, we're on. So this is what we're starting off with. I've been working on this piece for a few days now. I actually stopped for a period of time because I like redid the whole thing. I changed the poses and stuff, and I didn't like that one. I prefer this one just because it's kind of, it makes more sense for me, and like I'm trying to stick with the same style now. I'm so used to like constantly, changing, and I just kind of want to have a consistent thing going on. So I'm gonna stick with this. Um, yeah, I've done like my general base layer of layering where I do like I play around with this brush up here. So now I'm just gonna go through with the liquid. This is usually when I come in and start adding more shadows. Like I've already started doing stuff to her hair. But yeah, let's jump back into it. I've been posting this one. Like, I kind of feel bad because I've not been posting a lot of stuff recently. But once I ran out of stuff to do with the shirt, it's kind of like, man, I don't really have much to do. So I really should be doing this stuff, but then, like, general art school stuff is also like, ooh. Usually I come in just with the intent of, like, I'm going to, like, add more color in there that kind of helps transition it and add a little more depth. For this one, I'm kind of giving it a little bit more of a curl. So it kind of gives her hair more texture. This is kind of what I did with Tony's. With his dreadlocks, I kind of gave him a little more texture to it. I don't always start off with the hair. I usually try to start off with the face, but I saw like a good opportunity to go with her hair, and I thought, okay, we'll switch it up a bit. This piece has kind of been like a big, exploring new stuff kind of thing. Which, you know what? Even though I said I don't want to like change my art style anymore, I'm still okay with like um, exploring stuff. Like improving is okay. It's just like no more going from like anime to this in no time. Because like whenever I do that, I always find it so hard to like talk about my work. Especially for like I'm doing commissions now, and it's kind of gonna be like, yeah, I changed my style a lot. Speaking of, I'm doing commissions. If you're interested, you should take a look at my information. I'm trying to get a little more, like I'm trying to get more commissions and stuff because I want to start trying to make more money. Uh, like I'm kind of becoming desperate where I'm like, maybe I should start going for like the forbidden, weird fetish stuff. Cause like, I mean, I don't know. Those DeviantArt people got a lot of money. I just don't know how to start taking those type of commissions. I kind of have the like, because okay, so I'm in art history, and I really like art history because I like learning about all this stuff, and I've been picking up a lot of new techniques because of it. And this is kind of inspired by like the Baroque era of art, where it's like I wanted to make a darker, kind of grittier. Um, I don't know, like I wanted it to be more put together, but it's so hard because I'm not used to working like that. Um, but this is just kind of like an attempt where it's like, you know what, I'm very inspired by it right now. It's kind of like the main goal for everything I do is just kind of like always look for more inspiration, and art history has really been like helping me with all of that. I really like adding the texture to her hair. It just kind of makes it have like more depth to it. So I'm just going to keep going back in, just kind of keep adding colors. Because eventually you get to kind of see that curl pattern she has. And then I'll go in with my other brush and I'll come fix it up. We're going to go over to her face now. Kind of give me a break so I can look back at this and figure out what I don't like. Yeah, usually I just take like a lot of the colors I've used or something kind of around that and just kind of add a little more color to it. It also helps because it breaks away, because like you have the patterns up here, but once you start adding like other stuff, it kind of gives it like more texture visually, and it really draws the eye in. I will say I'm not a super big fan of this dress of hers. You would, well, so when I first made it, I had the intent of like maybe one or two pieces it would be present in, but this is like my third or fourth one. Like, it just keeps showing up. Kind of go in there. I'm gonna give it the test because I have like an overlay feature, and yeah, doing this kind of helps me figure out the colors that I'm gonna use, and also how like the color I'm adding interacts with it. Here we go. I also think this helps because like doing grayscale makes my colors tend to look very muddy, and so being able to just kind of jump in like this, you get to like add more colors, but it also kind of gives it more of a pop. So I can like play around, like, do I really want things to look as gray as they are? Maybe I want a little more peach to it, reds and stuff. Here we go. And sometimes if it doesn't look good, you know, you just like erase it and go back in there. With like my general base layer, sometimes I have to go in there like 2 or 3 times just to figure it out. Go. I have like one layer going for it, but I will also switch that up sometimes, especially like when I start moving to other areas, because it gives me more freedom. Like if I do have to go back, then I'm not like fighting to make sure I'm not like, you know, erasing something that I just put a lot of effort in. So I kind of go back in. This is my favorite part for like the watercolor brushes, is doing like her cheeks and stuff, just because it's like, it's very rough, but it kind of gives it such like a good texture. You know, I wasn't really expecting like going to art school and having all of this time to make stuff. Like, I don't know. I thought going to college would be like, I wouldn't have time to do stuff. But no, like, I get like more free time than I really know what to do with. Which I know is super rare because, man, I've seen my roommates do stuff. Man. I don't know. Art school has been like something. You know, you always watch like the YouTubers talk about their experiences with it. And the thing you always forget is that a lot of those YouTubers were like really good when they started. And so it kind of gives you this like, I don't know, it's like not an accurate feeling because these people were good before they got there. And I would say a lot of the people who do go to art school are not always that good when they get here. I don't know, I feel like we just like, I don't know, maybe I'll become like the realistic art YouTuber. I'll make sure you guys understand like, ooh, art school. If you don't like, you should learn your fundamentals, and I kind of kick myself for not doing that beforehand. But I also know I shouldn't kick myself too much because I'm not the only one. I don't like that. I think that's a little too white. Here we go. I'm kind of add a little bit going up here to break away from us like that pink. I've been thinking about turning like these works into zines. I think is it pronounced zine or zine? I'm pretty sure it's zine, because I always said zine. And then, like, I always find out, like, oh man, I'm wrong. And then I never remember that. Well, whatever. I'm thinking about doing that, because then it's like, I can combine what I love for, like, writing and making art. But it's not just, like, graphic novel style, you know. See, that's my problem. It's like, I always wanted to do writing when it came to my stories and my OCs. But I just feel like we don't have a lot of readers anymore. And maybe like, I don't know. So, let's go back in here. We'll add some of these colors and we'll jump back in. How does that look? I think that looks pretty good for now. I don't know, I want to fix up her underlips because here we go. We'll do stuff under her nose and right here. There we go. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. I'm like, I've said this before, but I always have to flip, like, there we go. I have to flip my my phone on so I can actually see stuff like chat, because like nothing ever really shows up on my thing. But here we go. Here we go. So I just kind of started working on her face. I've done her hair. Let's see about going on to the hands. Her hands are kind of like, you get to add like a lot of browns and stuff. I think her hands are like one of my, her skin in general is like one of my favorite things to do because you just get so many colors. You just kind of get to explore how, you know, colors build skin up. There we go. Don't we look beautiful? And you know, you always make sure like adding the pink to the skin is very helpful. There we go. I really like the way. I love this brush so much, and I swear if I could remember where it originally came from, I would tell you guys. One artist I like posted it because it's the brush she uses, and it was on her Tumblr, and she went and deleted her Tumblr. So unless she does like another what brush I use, I don't know if I could find it. No, you know what? Clip Studio might have the information. I will have to double check. And then even when you like zoom out and stuff, and it comes out pretty good. It's like I don't know if you guys can see it because like I said, I can't see nothing. But it's what my sweatshirt is. It's my aquarium one. It's on my Redbubble, guys. Check that out. I beg of you. Seriously, guys. Like when I say I'm trying to get money, I am trying to make bank, bro. Let's work on these lips. I always give Summer like a... I know this is not burgundy, but I always kind of give her like a very dark red lip. Because I love this color. I have lipstick this color, but it's so dark on me. And it bums me out so much because, man, I wish I could wear that stuff. And then we'll add a little bit to a shine to her lips. She's very shiny. Here we go. Like, just to show you how long I've been working on this, we're at like 6 hours. And this has been like multiple days. Just working on this non-stop. So that's been pretty fun. I'm trying to think now. Yeah, it's her lip. We should start doing her eyes. Sometimes I forget about the eyes. But the eyes are also pretty fun to do too. That's a little too dark. Cause I always just come in and it's just like a good one to like layer up color for it. I know before I was doing like a lot of character design stuff for my OCs. I'm still doing that. I think like a few days ago I started Warner, who is Summer's first husband. I haven't finished him yet, and then like I don't know, I gotta figure out who I'm doing next, because I did Emily, I did Abe, Tony was another one that I did, and it's gonna be Warner. So I'm thinking I need to do like Pat's wife. Yeah, I'm covering up her eye just because it helps, like, or like the way it just kind of like spreads off, like out of the pupil and stuff. That's kind of what I like about this brush, is that it's just like you can be really messy and very unpredictable with it. And you can kind of go in here if you want to go and do like intentional stuff. There you go. And I always do like a dark blue pupil. But that looks kind of wonky. Yeah, you know what? I need to fix that. I will say I've kind of moved away from doing too much of like the little watercolor eye. Sometimes just doing like smaller features like the shines and stuff. I might just have to stick to doing that. Because I know in like one of my pieces I did do like the full eye like that. But I don't remember which one it was. It also could just be the eyes of this piece. It's a little, she's a little wonky looking, but she doesn't need to know I said that. There we go. Down, we'll do another one of these. I think it's a lot of like her eye that's on this side. Yeah, I think that kind of helps. You know what? Actually, we need to extend everything out. There we go. See, it looks so much better now. And then we'll just kind of come back in and we'll fix her pupil some and get a whole new piece. Just like that. Okay, let's see what else we can do. See, I really like the way like that brush was like down here and stuff. I want to do more live streaming content, but the problem is like I did a live stream the other day and the dorm Wi-Fi was like so bad that it kept cutting out. And so I would like to do that. I also like, you know, should really be spending more time in the dorm and not as much time at home. So I'm gonna try to like fit more stuff in like this. I just want to get back into making videos in general, like especially like long form stuff. I just did my wearable art shirt. Y'all should watch that video because I put so much effort into like compiling everything. I made a whole script for it and then I scrapped it all and just went for like the compilation video with a few like extra things. But I definitely would give that one a watch just to support me further. Right now we're just kind of jumping in and taking another brush. I typically do about 3 layers of rendering with different brushes. This is my second one. Just kind of helps transition some of like the colors and stuff and build like an extra layer of texture to it. I swear I know what I'm talking about. I just like explain it horribly. Oh, there we go. Go. And do another test. Okay. Alright. I think her shirt needs a little bit of like, need to go a little bit lighter. It's kind of missing some shading around here. Then it kind of helps. You know what, let me flip the makeup on. Yeah. Honestly, with this on, I could play around with like the colors and I don't necessarily have to use like that gray. Here we go. almost at the 7-hour mark. That's pretty good. I don't know what my average has been recently. It's definitely over like 5 hours typically. I used to post that in my thing when I would post my stuff up, and then I stopped because, like, I don't know, I wasn't sure, like, I don't know, I didn't want to be like, oh, you guys should buy my art, because I spent, like, years and years on it. But I also, like, sometimes it would kind of lead to, like, people leaving interesting comments about, like, how long I spent on it. How have you been recently? Like, I know I talked about, like, oh, art school is like this, but, you know, I'm gonna hear about you guys. Like, I don't know. And, like, one of my last live streams I did, I started seeing a guy recently. So I'll tell you guys about him. We sort of met online, but we're in, like, the same area. But we just haven't met in person yet. Like, I talk to him every day. I've seen photos of him, so don't worry too much. It's just one where it's, like, his work schedule and my school schedule, plus him being, like, an hour away, kind of makes it hard. So, I don't know, like, we've talked about it. We do want to, like, see each other, and we're, like, working up to that. But, yeah, it's just one where I've been, like, super giddy, and I've been making a lot of art more recently because he loves seeing it. Like, every Sunday we stay up and watch the new Smiling Friends with each other on, like, Discord. So I'm very pleased with how things have been going for me recently. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna give it the test again. I like that. You know what? Because we kind of have that orange. I wonder if you blurred out the edges. That would help in some spots. Or maybe not the texture blur. Maybe we need to bring in, like, the soft light. Like this, and we'll do this. And then, kind of give them a line, little blur, and then it was multiplies on 62, and then 81 multiply. We'll just kind of jump back in with this one. Multiply 81. I think that looks good. I think we're good with her dress. I'm not going to change the folder. I think we're going to keep it on the same one, mostly because, like, we're not really going to, you know, we're not doing a lot. We generally, like, only make a few layers with this one and then a few layers with the other one. So we're good to keep it in, like, the same folder. I typically keep, like, my first layer of, like, rendering on its own one because I do it based on, like, every part of the body. So, like, you know, her shirt gets one, the pants get one, her skin, her hair, and then, like, her eyes and her lips typically get their own layer. But here we go. I'm just gonna work on the table. I have not worked on him yet. I decided I was just gonna jump in and do the table. Go. We're kind of gonna build up a lot of layering here. Just like this. So we'll fatten the brush up a bit. Jump back in. like a lighter brush, we'll bring that in too. Make a little bit of like, oh, there we go. I'm just doing this. Yeah. Okay, that works good. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then I feel like we're doing like a lot of going back and forth with like the blurring and stuff, but here we go. I'm gonna flip the brightness up just a bit so I can see a little bit more of this table. There we go. Throw in a little bit of green there. You can't even really tell. That's my favorite thing about like digital. I know like in my traditional art, I do try to do like complementary colors and shading to really add like value and stuff. And I always avoid it in the digital art because I feel like, I don't know, you see it more. But just like being like really testing how it works like this, I don't think you really can see it. Actually, I do kind of want to come up. Ooh. No, I'm not going to touch that anymore. Okay, let's finally start on him. We'll go back and finish the table and stuff in a minute. We'll do his hair. We got a little bit of like the wall in there, so. But I think that's fine. We'll darken this up. We'll kind of go across these edges. I've been meaning to work on this for a while now, but like, ooh, I kept forgetting. And then I was like, no, I want to live stream this one, but I also want to try to get this done soon. Well, I was working on like a commission piece, and like I said before, like I was like going back and forth on if I liked this sketch or not. Which like once I got to like rendering it and stuff, and like putting on like the overlay layers, I think it's good. I like it. Oh, here we go. And then we're just kind of, especially with like the red hair, I like to add like a lot of orange and browns. I really like to add a lot of color into it, kind of like the summers, how I do like a lot of grays and blacks. I don't really do a lot of blonde hair, but I know like I do with like Monty, I did like a lot of browns and stuff. But yeah, I just like adding so many extra colors to the hair. I think it adds like a lot of character and depth. I think John should have a little bit of gray in it. Just enough where it's like, you can tell, you know, he's stressed, he's not taking care of himself. And then like, you know, it's just kind of like, it's more of a stress thing for him more than necessarily he's old. Come on, there we go. Try to avoid making his stuff too pink now, because like he used to have pink hair, and then whenever I go like cool red, I feel like I'm always like on the verge of going pink again. Which, no. Here we go. Try to get like a middle tone in here. There we go. Darken it a bit more. Which technically redheads don't go gray, they go white. Man. You'd think I'd remember this stuff knowing I'm a redhead. I'm gonna go ahead and add like a little bit of... He's kind of got this little white streaks going in his beard and stuff. We'll give it the overlay test, and there we go. And now it doesn't even just look like, oh, he's got like a white streak going through his hair. It kind of looks more like, oh, it's the highlight. Okay. We gotta do his face now. John's face. Usually I pick up like a shadow color and I start there. I go across like the hairline and just kind of detail where the shadows would be. There we go. And let's take like a brighter spaces in the light and add a little bit of color. There we go. And then we'll make like the corners of his eye red. I don't know, I kind of like the difference in the red of their face. With John's, I kind of set it up where it makes his face look very mature. Where I think Summer's is more rosy, it's more childish, it's very bright in nature. Kind of do this. And doing this, I don't know, it makes his face feel very thin, which is what I was going for. We'll add a little more color to his cheeks. There we go. We'll even add a little bit of color to his lips. And we'll go, his beard is like right down here, so we'll add a little bit of that. And we'll highlight where his face stuff would be. There we go. Ooh, okay. You know what? That's cool. I like that. I really like the effect that he kind of has going. His face feels very, like I said it before, but like his face still feels very thin. Dude, my voice is going out. I apologize. I'm gonna start making more fan art. Like, I do like a lot of original characters, or when like I do commissions, it's a lot of original characters. But I don't do a lot of fan art and stuff. My problem is that like I watch a lot of fan material, but I also like don't. Or a lot of the stuff I do, I don't know about you guys, I would not want to admit to being a fan of it, guys. That dies with me. But I don't know, like I hear like people say you build an audience doing that. But I think I just need to like start working more on like telling the story. But you know what? I'll do that now. So this right here is John and Summer. John, Summer. And John is just this middle-aged man. He's very depressed. He doesn't really like his life. And he decides, you know what? I'm tired of living. And so he takes it in his own hand. However, you know, okay, so a little bit about John. He was like, he works at a park, and he was hired on after his mom and the park owner and this other guy were friends. The other guy dies, and they're like, oh man, John has to deal with his grief somehow. Let's put him to work. And so this guy hires John on, and he eventually makes it like the manager and stuff. And this guy pretty much lets John live here. So John has access to like everything in there, and that the guy, the park owner, left, you know, his like hunting rifles in there. And John knows the code, so you know he takes, you know, he goes out. The gun gets stuck. You know, John gets mad. He's like, you know, curse my chub life, bro. And he's like, dude, I wish I could be happier. Now, little did he know, there are things called wish granters. And wish granters, they're kind of a mix between, you know, like your typical witch, a genie, and like an angel. And like, they're very rare. They're kind of a dying breed because a lot of wish granters are granting wishes before they have children. It doesn't help that having children is kind of like a hard thing for them. I could go on and on about like wish granter biology. Nate was like asking me questions when I first told him about it. He's like, okay, but can they have like twins and triplets, and like how does this work? But anyway, he curses his life and he's like, I wish I could be happier. And Summer appears and she's like, yo, you said the word I wish. I'm a wish granter. I have to grant your wish now. And she ties their souls together. This piece is takes place right around the same time. He chooses to do this on his 36th birthday, and Summer finds out, and she's like, well, now we gotta celebrate your birthday. And he's like, dude, I'm a grown man. She's not gonna take no for an answer. Though this is like the cake she's made for him. You know, she made this nice banner for him, and he's just in there going, okay. But this is for like the piece. I'm doing like a whole thing about how they first met. So I've done like their actual like first meeting. I'm doing this one. I think I'm gonna do a few about like before the events leading up to it. Like one of the things he does before he goes to like, you know, die is he meets up with his old childhood friend who now works at the park too. He owns like a little ice cream truck, and he's pretty much hired to like, you know, serve ice cream, and he pays rent to like park his truck there. And John visits him, and it's supposed to kind of build up this idea that like these two know each other. because like they're kind of not friends anymore. The man that like died that led to John getting this job, um, his friend Tony knew about him too, and so the guy who died is Theodore, and Theodore is like John's wannabe dad. And so, everybody who knows John knows Theodore because they're like, oh yeah, that's like, you're like his dad. You're like his son. But Theodore was gay. And he didn't tell anybody. The only person who knew was Willow, John's mother. And pretty much he dies. And Tony kind of figures out eventually, like, oh yeah, I kind of knew that. And so his thing is that Theodore ran a diner. Tony wants to restart this diner. John's like, no, like it's not a good idea. And so they stop becoming, like, they stop being friends over this because John just won't see it any other way. And so eventually, like after, Summer comes into his life, she convinces him to like, hey, maybe you were a little too harsh. Just go to the diner, try it out. And he goes there and he realizes, Tony is doing this not because, he wants to like make Tony's money, but because he generally does care about Tony and he wants to, keep the recipes alive. And then they become buddy again. And then I think I want to do a little more with his employees. That would be kind of nice to add in too. Just to kind of like introduce them. And then I don't know, I'll still have to decide like what I'm gonna add for after this. But yeah, I definitely think I'm kind of gonna go this route with it, which, okay. I think this looks good. Let's give it the test. Alright. I think we can go back and start working on the plate and the cake. I just remember the walls existed too. I gotta do those. I gotta do that banner. There we go. And then I would actually like to go back and finish some of the character designs. I know I talked about like I was having trouble figuring out who I was going to do after I finished Warner. I think in general before I do that I need to like fully rewrite Summer's lore. Because she has a pretty like on my NeoCity, she has a good description and stuff. I just kind of like want to go back because there's some stuff that I have changed. There we go. I keep getting emails from ZipRecruiter, but none of them are for like the jobs I'm looking for. I really would like to get like a freelance job or like start doing some more like, I don't know, commissions and stuff. But at this point, I really don't know. I'm not even really sure how to like get commissions and junk. I've been asking my friends like what they think, and they're like, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, and it's like, not really. Like, I know, like, I have problems, but I also recognize that, like, a lot of the stuff they say probably isn't as accurate, too. Okay. I don't know, I might call it quits soon. Yeah. There we go, there's that part done. Alright.